Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hello, good morning. We are live. Hi, Kay. Good morning.
Good morning, Anna. How are you today?
Okay, I'm doing great. It's starting to get cold here in New York. Anyway, let's welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. We are here to explore the diverse pathways to immigration in the United States. Whether you are dreaming of reuniting with your family, pursuing your career opportunities, we have insights and guidance to help you on your journey. Let's embark on this informative and exciting discussion together with Kay. She will discuss about work visa, and later on, Dr. NursePaul will join us, and he will discuss and talk about family visa, work fiancé visa. I'm sorry about that. So, Kay, let's go right ahead. It's
I'm
so
still
hard to wake up in
gulping
the
my
morning.
coffee here. I'm still gulping my coffees.
Golfing
It's
coffee.
yeah,
Okay, hi and
it's a
welcome
good boost.
everyone in Facebook. Please don't forget to share. Okay, to sum it up, we have our topic for today. We have EB2, EB3, employment visa, the work visa, family visa, fiancé visa, a farm visa ito, ay our family of citizen. Okay, let's go start ahead, okay, so I will talk about first about the employment-based visa. Very number one question being asked. Miss Anna, Miss Kay, as a nurse, what is EB2 or what is EB3 visa? I have my notes here, so I hope you don't mind me reading once in a while. I can't remember everything, but Kay will help me out, right, Kay?
I don't know you. Just kidding.
Ano na,
Uh,
call a friend.
phone a friend.
Yes. Oh, or those who are asking, Purple will join in a little while. I think he's coming. Purple from California. Hello, good morning po.
Good morning, good morning. Oh my God, I'm still setting up my computer. I got taken aback. But do you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'm joining from California, guys, and it's 6 a.m. here. Hopefully, I would get stable connection. I'm here in the hotel. But welcome to everybody. Please share this show to everyone, to your friends. It's gonna be a fun show. We're gonna talk about immigration pathways. Good morning, Anna. Good morning, Kay.
Good
Hi.
morning.
So
I
I
hear
welcome
something like
everyone.
it's like
Yep.
I don't know. Do you hear
Yeah.
that? What is
Yes, I
that?
hear that too.
I
Is
think it's
there
is
an
it my
alien
phone?
joining us somewhere?
It might be it
One
might
of
be
my
my
break in
phone.
the US.
An
No,
illegal alien trying to join us here. Uh.
is it my microphone? I think it's my microphone.
Yes, because when you were not around yet, we were okay.
Yeah, yeah. How about now? I'm trying my
It's
best to.
weird, right? It's like a I play video games like Protoss sound.
Hold on, I think it's my AirPods,
Like a
honestly.
Zerg. So anyway, good morning everyone. Just for FYI and disclaimer to everybody, we are not your lawyers and we are not legal professionals who should be really discussing your case scenario. This information that you will get here today are your general information that we commonly discuss in Lefora. Lefora is our Facebook group page, which is the largest for the US incoming US nurses. Information. A lot of these questions that were asked is, what's the process for EB3? How is H1B? How is this? Is this okay? An employer offered me this kind of visa that is not the usual green card. Is this okay? So for this session, we are just discussing what is our insight as nurses, and we are not lawyers. So again, this is your general information, and each nurse and each individual will have their own special situation that needs to be discussed with a lawyer. And it's like, seeing a doctor. The doctor, there's a lot of information online that are in general for general information. But if you're sick, you have to see your doctor, right? You don't rely on this, but this information can be a very good overview already to start.
Mhm.
No. Disclaimer, we're not your lawyers. This information are from nurses insights and general information out there.
Yeah, you're correct. Okay, so gonna talk on us like, yeah, according to Miss Kay and Miss Anna and Dr. Nurse Paul, we are nurses and we are this is one of our advocates to educate you guys. Okay, so let's start over. I was tasked to explain E2 and E3, also known as employment-based 2 and employment-based 3. So let's start with EB3. There are two different kinds, but almost they have a close similarities. EB3 is a highly skilled nurse visa. If you have advanced nursing skills or high-level education like master's degree in nursing or special ability, and you have advanced degree, exceptional ability, you can use the EB2 visa. And like what I said, those are the requirement, and it's faster to get in to acquire that visa, and not a lot of nurses are able to use that. However, EB3, which I would like to discuss and talk more about it, is what the kind of visa that I have, like Paul and Clay. So what is EB3 visa, or employment-based, also known as green card? People are always confused with this, especially when they're filling up the form. Ma'am, am I EB3? What is green card? Are they different? They are the same, but you fall under EB3 or employment-based visa if you're a nurse applying for the US. So this one, let me read my notes. If you are a skilled worker, you must have at least 2 or more years of job or training experience. You must be in a skilled position. You have bachelor's degree. We all know that as a nurse, we have 4-year course bachelor degree. And you must you must have an employer, and your employer must have a labor certificate for you in order for you to be petitioned. So now, oh ma'am, I have an employer already. So on my end as a nurse, what should I do? On your end, when I started applying for my American Dream, it was a requirement to pass the CGFNS. That was 10 years ago. And then an NCLEX and an English class. It's a requirement. But I think, Clay, during your time, you were not required to really pass the NCLEX, right?
Yeah, during my time, no, because there was no NCLEX examination location
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines that time. So the CGFNS certificate and English exam together with visa screen was enough for me to come to the United States.
How about you, Paul? Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I think I'm here. My internet is a little spotty. Is my audio clear?
Yes,
Just
I can
wondering.
Yeah.
hear you.
Oh, this California.
So I'm losing my connection every now and then. So if I freeze, just um carry on without me.
Yeah.
But
We
what
say
was the
hey,
question
hey, hey
again? I'm
every
sorry.
week.
No, I asked Kay during her time, she told me that it was not a requirement for her to have an NCLEX. But I believe you and me, we have the same fate. Like, we have to really ask the NCLEX first before we got a hire to the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah,
You
I
remember
think
those
during
times?
yeah, during case time, I remember that they only require they only I'm sorry, not that was not too long
Jurassic
ago
time.
at the K. No, but before they only require CGFNS to get to the US so they can give you the visa. Plus there's working visa as well before. And then you come over here to the States, you can adjust status. But they changed that requirement to like at least you have to pass the NCLEX. That is a USCIS requirement. So from then on, I think that was late 2000s. They are requiring NCLEX passers to
Mhm.
be petitioned. So you have to be an NCLEX passer first, before you can be petitioned. Before they would allow you to go to the US to take the NCLEX once you are a CG passer. That was a rule before.
But those days were gone. Nowadays, they
Right, right,
require more. Right.
right, right.
So let me clarify, ma'am, what is CGFNS? It's not a license for class, okay? It's a commission and graduate foreign nurses association. It's only a certification. But during my time at in Cebu, in the Philippines, 2005, I think, and then I thought I was about to be able to get away with that, but no, they require NCLEX. NCLEX is the license for examination, and one of the requirements for EB3 immigrant visa green card application. And okay, you have NCLEX, you have English test, IELTS or PTE is another requirement to have a visa screen. Now, visa screen is a requirement for EB3 green card immigrant. I know I keep repeating myself because people are confused between EB3 and green card. They thought they're a separate thing. No, they're the same. Okay, so visa screen is a must. You cannot get away with English class, no matter how hard it is. You have to take it because on your day of your interview in the U.S. Embassy, they will ask for it, and you will not be issued a visa. Those are the requirements for EB3 employment-based green card. It will require you a longer time. That's one of the pros of it, because there's a lot of nurses applying. Remember what we talked about last week? Visa bulletin, there's a cap, there's a limit, there's a ceiling for every country in EB3 and EB2. As we know right now, Philippines is current for the EB3, but still there's a cap, there's a limit on it. And one of the best options for me if you're applying and pursuing your career in the US is to apply for a green card. Why? If you have a family, if you're married, you have kids, you can bring them over here. And if you're a spouse in healthcare or not in healthcare, you can also work because they have a green card too. Those are the benefits of under EB3 or immigrant visa green card. However, one of the consequences is the retrogression. As we all know, it will require you a longer time. So, but I think the benefit is outweigh the waiting time. Don't you think so, Kay?
The waiting time is not really that long, trust me.
Unlike before night time and
It's 6
off
months
time.
for working, right? And then it can be 2 to 3 years. So technically, you're, it's just cutting your, I think 1/4 of the time, 1/4 of the time will be for working, but the opportunities that you will have as an EP3 is way more, when it comes to job security. You don't have to worry about, hey, I rented a car. I mean, I lease a car for 5 years, but I don't know if I'm gonna have a job for 5 years here in the United States. So there's a lot of pros and cons, but I'm sure there's a lot of advantage as well when it comes to time. But when it comes to the long-term effect, EB3 will really bring in the most opportunities.
Okay. I would like to read one of the comments in Facebook by Ricardo. I love the program. Noted there is a difference between E2 and EB2. Same for E3 and EB3. One is a non-immigrant and one is an immigrant. Maybe a typo in your captions. Ricardo, thank you for that. No, they're the same. E2, E3, EB2, and EB3 are the same. They are both employment-based. And they are both immigrant visa. I hope that clears up.
What happened to Anna? Where are you? You turned circle.
Me? That's not me.
Oh, that's me, actually. There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
wait.
I think we lost Anna. I'm not sure if it's me, but I think we lost Anna for a bit earlier too, because I saw Kay moving. I'm not sure. Maybe it's me.
What's moving? It's our DNP show being hacked somewhere.
Yeah. No. Hopefully we're in a secure server.
Being disrupted this morning.
They said don't tell anything about EB3.
So much disruption.
We are
very
leaving the
disruptive.
name of our.
Right. But I want to add up to what Ricardo said and Anna said. Both E2 and E3 or EB2, EB3 are immigrant visa, meaning the day that you come in here, day one, you're an immigrant. And the other thing is there is a pathway for citizenship for this after 5 years. The main
Mhm.
difference is with the requirement.
Mhm.
E3 is professional or skilled workers. So we
Yep.
fall there, nurses, under professional workers. And also, we are on Schedule A. Schedule A is
Me.
an expedited version of Department of Labor process. So we don't have to wait for labor certification. We can just file an ETA 9089. But going back, professional workers as nurses, we fall under EB3. Now, we can
Mhm.
also qualify for EB2, but that is for advanced professional skills. So these are positions at the mid level to top level positions, at least master's degree or PhD to support the petition. The problem with E2 is not a lot of nursing positions here in the States would petition for
Mhm.
that, and many of them would require you to pay for your own petition. So it is at your own risk. If the consul thinks you do not qualify for that visa and you get denied, then you cannot get your money back. The only thing is with the EB2 visa, you must have an offer that is congruent with the visa level, which means your position should not be a staff nurse. Your
Mhm.
position should not be a bedside nurse. Your position should be mid-level, top-level manager. We're talking about nursing supervisor, nursing directors. To be honest with you guys, nobody hires a director from outside the US day one.
Yeah.
They don't want that
Mhm.
because you still have to get your feet wet in the US healthcare system. It's totally different. It's evidence based. We change a lot of things all the time. So that's also not one of the things that are common, although some people have done that. But just always err on the side of caution. This is a legal matter, which means always do things legally, which means if somebody tells you, I'll give you an EB2 visa, but you have to lie to the consul, please don't do that because you're under oath. And your
Mhm.
whole premise of coming over here on an immigrant visa and eventually becoming a citizen can be denied if they prove that you have lied under oath with a consul when you were an immigrant, and that can be a case against you. So just a reminder for everybody, because I know I've heard some people saying you can do EB2, we can file you for that, and then they come over to the US, they're not they're staff
Qualifier.
nurse or they're bedside nurse, they didn't qualify
Mhm.
for EB2, they just used it because it's current and it's not retrogress. So be careful with stuff like that, guys. If it's too good to be true, it's mostly not true.
Thank you for Paul for that. It's a very informative, a lot of information there, especially the reminder. Do not shortcut your way here.
Right, right.
There's no such thing as shortcut. There's
There's
no
no shortcut to
elevator, okay?
success is what they say. Right,
Yeah. There's no elevator.
right.
So anyway, with the EB3 lecture Paul, in my opinion as a nurse and my personal experience, if someone offered me an EB2 before, and I know I'm not qualified, and I know no one's gonna hire me as a supervisor immediately. So I really chose EB3 over EB2 and work visa. I never gonna. Can you just ask more about the work visa? So any questions? I would like to read some questions for EB3, or if you have any additional information, please, that you want to share about EB2 or EB3, feel free.
Um, yeah, no, I that would be my actually if I am going for a long-term option, looking at the long-term perspective, I would definitely go with EB3 visa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's my
agree.
personal choice. Yeah, personal choice, especially when I have kids. I want something that is actually secured because it's very hard when you are moving around with family and kids. When
Mm-hmm.
you're
Right.
single and you lose your job, that you can manage, but when you come with your family or you come with your dependents and kids, somebody really depending on your income, they want to, you want to make sure that you have security, that you will have continuous income, unless emergency happens, right? But for me, having a non permanent visa as a nurse who will come to the United States with huge amount of expenses, and there is no security if I'm going to have a job the next day. It kind of worries me, but different people will have different risk tolerance. Some young people will be very, will be prone to be more risky. But for me, again, as a person with family and kids, I really have to consider those with security that I have something to feed for my kids every day, that
Mm-hmm.
we still
Yeah.
are able to stay in the United States, especially when the kids are in school. It's kind of
Agree.
hard for them to be pulled every now and then, or not on a schedule. If you have a temporary visa, I think green card will give me more peace of mind. So am I going to wait for 2 to 3 years for peace of mind? I think I'd rather wait. For
Mm-hmm.
me, in my opinion, right, and this is my personal choice. While waiting, there will be other options, but I think what comes really with the EB3 is a peace of mind. That is,
Exactly.
Right.
it's priceless. For me, I value peace of mind. For me, it's priceless. So for me, it gives me that security.
Right. And the feeling of coming into the US and day one, you're already an immigrant, and
Mm-hmm.
that is counting towards your citizenship is the most exciting thing, because when I got here to the States, I met people that don't even have an immigrant visa. They're still on EAD, employment authorization, probably on a work visa that they keep renewing, and they're still waiting for their immigrant visa. So all they tell me is, you're lucky on your day one, you're immigrant. But like Kay said, risk tolerance. I have to wait 10 years, but was it worth the wait?
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is worth the wait. I've only been here in the States for almost 7 years, but I already forgot how far I've waited because I'm enjoying the journey that I have here in the US. Plus I met Kay and Anna. I think that's the cherry on top.
Oh.
Oh, even though I'm late for the show because I couldn't set up
you know,
properly.
what
And
have you been? Yeah, what have you been drinking, Paul?
no,
You gotta give that to
it
us
must
too.
it must be that drink. I'm gonna text you guys later what it is. I'm just kidding.
Got
No,
the California effect on him, waking him
yeah,
up early
Yeah.
I
morning. You
only
know,
I
Paul
only
is
had
not an.
I only had 3 hours of sleep, and I had to find a spot for it to do it because my friends are sleeping in the hotel room and they're snoring. We went to Universal Halloween night, and we were there till like
Wow.
1 or 2 a.m. because the lines are so long. But yeah, I met some Leforans there. I was trying to hide
Oh wow.
under these guys. No, I'm not. And they're like, "Are you Doctor Nurse Paul? Because you're popular." I was like, "Sir, no, tone it down. I
Oh.
don't want too much attraction." I mean, no, but I was just there to have fun. But yeah,
Okay, would like to say hello. Someone watching from KFA, Saudi,
wow,
Yan. Hi,
Saudi.
Philippines.
Yan. Hi. Let's see. Yeah, who's that? H1B
Yeah,
Glenn. Oh, they're asking
We'll
again,
talk
yeah,
right?
about that later in a little while.
yeah.
Hold on,
Join us,
hold on,
guys, in the
hold on,
comment
hold
section because we can see your comments.
on.
We also talk about you guys.
Yes. Oh, I just
Okay,
want to
in
add.
summary.
Yeah, I want to add. By the way, on the EB3 issue, right? When I arrived here, I was green card.
Mm-hmm.
So like Paul said, the clock starts ticking, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Already. So you have 5 years. But it's not really that hard. 5 years. It's actually on the amount of days they calculate that day. So if, for example, you come here under green card, okay, and let's say something happens and you have to go home to the Philippines because of emergency reason or XYZ reason that you will have to go home and on an extended stay in the Philippines. So if you example you stayed there for 6 months and you come back to the United States, they're gonna count that 6 months that you're not here in the United States. So after 5 years you can talk to your immigration lawyer and start the process, but it's not necessarily that's going to be approved right away because there is a process, and second they're going to count that 6 months that you're not in the United States, so it's going to be added, so 5.5. So my mom, and it's a funny thing because my mom's a green card. She keeps going back and forth the Philippines. And when we applied for the fifth year, and this is what they said. She's been out for this for out of the country for this amount of time, so we will have to adjust that. So technically, she was only able to apply for citizenship after like 6 years.
Right,
So you have to pay attention. So it's not a hard rule of 5 years, but it's really they're gonna count the times that you're here. That's equivalent to 5 years. You know. So just want to add to that. A lot of people likes going vacation, like travel nurses like me and Paul and that. So we go out of the country a lot. I do extended stay in the Philippines too. So those actually adds if I am going to apply for citizenship. So just keep an eye on that.
Can your fans welcome you in the Manila airport with a banner?
No, I go home unannounced. When you come home to your country, if you announce that you're going home to your country, that is one of the most deadly announcements you're gonna do. You will receive a lot of text
Exactly.
message. Hey, can you buy
Right.
me this? Buy me that? And I
Don't
said
forget
I
your
like to
relatives
travel.
that you have not seen for years.
Yeah, but I do
They
that. I
probably
actually
not know that.
send before, balikbayan box. So I send that. But I'm just a light traveler. I don't want to carry a lot of stuff. If you will see my luggage, it's nice. One luggage is just like, for them. But then coming back here is full of noodles, chichirya, and but anyway, going back
Filipino
to the
food.
immigration. Yeah. Let's go back.
Okay. Okay, in summary, the points between EB2, employment-based 2, and EB3, employment-based 3 for nurses, depends on your qualification, career goals, and willingness to meet the requirement for each. EB2 may offer a faster processing and access to more specialized roles, but it has higher educational requirements and can be competitive. Meanwhile, EB3 is more accessible. There are more job opportunities here for nurses waiting for you, but may require more patience due to potentially longer waiting times. It's advisable to consult your immigration lawyer if you have any questions. So I think that's my part. EB3 for the win, and remember the end goal is to become a US citizen. Right, Paul?
Right. Blue passport.
Yes. Can take you anywhere, everywhere. Now we're heading to Miss Pay.
All right, great, great. So now we're talking about the dreaded. A lot of questions come up to Lefora, and they ask me, Kay, I've been offered H-1B visa. H-1B is your temporary. If Anna spoke about the EB-3 or E-3 visas,
Mm-hmm.
those are your permanent green card or permanent status in the United States. However, there are alternative that is being offered to the nurses right now, and it's called the H-1B visa. So H-1B is your temporary visa. It's given to special employees with special credentials, and it's given for 3 years. Okay, 3 years, and you have to renew it. It's renewable every 3 years too. If you renew it, they're gonna give another 3 years. So H1B and H2 are two different things, but I want to focus more on H1B because this is the most common question that come in Lefora. There's H1B that is a cap, and there's one H1B that is non-cap. So non-cap means there's a limited number of visa that will be given in a year, fiscal year. So the cap means that there is about 65,000 visas that will be given to all H1B for that year. And then there's additional 20,000 that is for the master's or higher degree. But if you're like in bachelor's degree, you will have more you will be more eligible or higher chances that you will be approved at H1B on that 65,000. But the thing is, that 65,000, combined 85,000 is not only for nurses. Okay, it's not only for nurses. Majority of these visas are actually given to tech workers or who are in the different industries like PT, healthcare also. But we're talking about millions of applicants, or probably millions of applicants around the world. So if you are going to H1B on a cap level, what are the chances that you're going to be eligible. So there is for me, there are chances, but it's going to be very competitive. So they call it lottery. And it's a lottery that that these immigration lawyers will start filing between April to June. So those are the time to June 30. So those are the time windows, April to June 30. That's why April is really a very busy for professionals here in the United States, because number one, that's the tax season. if you're trying to call for
Right.
if you're trying to look for an accountant during April, expect a very long wait. Okay. If you are calling an immigration lawyer around April to June, expect a little longer response. So a lot of people are telling me, "Okay, immigration lawyer is not responding. It's very frustrating." Please have this knowledge and awareness that a lot, like nurses, we get bombarded with jobs, and sometimes we don't get to the patient right away. So again, between April to June is the most busy times among immigration lawyers, because they are applying a lot of, they're applying for those kind of visas, the H1. And it's not easy. So just have a little patience. That's what I want to explain to you. So H1B temporary visa is again 3 years, and it can be renewed every 3 years. Now, when we're talking about the H1B that is cap exempt, I have heard a lot of nurses tell me, "Miss K, is this legit? This employer is offering me cap exempt visa." Well, yes, there are cap exempts, but it's not included on the limit of the 85,000 visas per fiscal year. So it means that anybody can just apply, and there's no cap, and there is no time window either. So which means these lawyers can process your application any time of the year. There's no such thing as the June 30 limit or deadline. So again, for the cap exempt, they are not running for that lottery, so which means you can apply any time of the year. Are Is it legit? So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. There is a cap exempt visa, um, but it's not easy to get those cap exempt visas. You need to have special, the employer needs a special criteria to pass before they can get those petitions rolling. So what are the examples of these employers? University and related, affiliated into a nonprofit, as well, nonprofit organizations that are related to universities. So that's one employer there that you might want to consider. There is actually, if you type in Google, if you Google search, H1B cap exempt employers, there is actually a list online. So you can actually see and check that out and verify if this recruiter is actually affiliated with these employers. Because
Right.
if there is a list, but it's not complete, there people will put information there every now and then. But again, there are information out there that who will tell you that, hey, we are an organization and we are cap exempt. Okay. And what you want to do is you verify that with your immigration lawyer too. So there's also government research organizations. I worked in a government hospital before, and they're affiliated with a lot of organizations that doing research. Why research? Because it gives value to the country. So if you're adding value to the United States, Uncle Sam can see that you are an asset to them, and he might give you those kind of visas, temporarily. Um, and it's a there's also like specialty occupations that will cover this in healthcare. It's called the PTs, RNs, and physicians. Okay, so if you are a PT, an RN, and a physician, there is a high chance that you will be approved of this H1B cap exempt. Okay, so again, state and local government research entities. Okay, so you have to research those. federal government research organization, nonprofit research organization, nonprofit entities that are related with institution of higher education. Higher education, it is institution like colleges and universities here in the United States. Example in the Philippines of academic institution or training institution is, let's say I came from UST. There is a hospital in UST, right? And UST is a university. So in America, there are also training hospitals. For example, where a majority of my workplace are actually academic hospitals. Say your Mayo Clinic, they have their academic teaching. You have your Mass General, which is affiliated with Harvard University. You also have your Yale New Haven Hospital, which is affiliated to their Yale hospitals. I mean, Yale University. So you have your New York Presbyterian Hospital, which is affiliated with Columbia University. Here in Maryland, we have Johns Hopkins, which is affiliated, to their Johns Hopkins University. There's also University of Maryland here. Again, so there's so many university hospitals here in the United States. If you are thinking of applying here and as H-1B, so this is a good starting point. So that's just one of my recommendation. If you are really, really, really interested to come to the United States with under H-1B visa, so you will have to explore that. And the way to explore that is you call the employer, verify. If a recruiter is coming to you and they're saying, we are connected to this universities, okay, we are connected to this and we're going to file for H-1B, make sure that you research those recruiters and you make sure you research those companies. Well, majority of this university hospitals or research organization, they have an immigration lawyer or immigration department or legal team that can assist you. So always verify that. When it comes to, again, whenever we were talking about Anna kanina or earlier, right? Sorry, I'm talking Tagalog. By accident. So we were discussing about peace of mind, okay, and why I choose EB3 versus H visas, H1B. Again, we have concerns that were brought to us here in the United States that they're under H1B and their employers were telling them to do this, do that, even though they know it's not the right thing to do. And they are being threatened. Some of these nurses are being threatened. If you don't do this, we're gonna fire you and terminate you, right? Because it must be an at will job. And these nurses are being scared to be deported to the point that they will just follow whatever, and they're scared of their life. So unfortunately, this is happening. But the question is this happening with all? Not really. There are good employers, and I'm gonna tell you there are way far good employers. Okay, and there are bad apples in the area. And when someone comes to me, okay, somebody offered me an H-1B visa, the first thing I always tell them is research the employer. Okay, research if there are problems with the employer. Find out the nurses who are there under this employer, because if these nurses are voicing out concerns of employment exploitation, then this is something that you want to consider thinking. Is that stress worth it, in exchange for 6 months, right? If your mental health is draining already, I think health is more important. Your
Right.
mental health is very important. Some people don't have the same tolerance for these things. For me, if I have more, I will say probably that I have stronger personality now. But when I arrived here in the United States, I did not have that strong personality. As a Filipino, right? And Paul, we come
Yeah.
here, even though we are, well prepared clinically, even though we have good education background, it comes to a point that there are times when we first arrive here, we will just say yes to everything
Yeah.
because that's our
Yes.
culture, right? Our Filipino culture, and I'm pretty sure a lot more cultures there, they have this thing about being respectful into the authority. Um, our culture also is, we try to blend in, we try to fit in, and we will try to do things that will, make it easy for us to blend in. We will try to do things beyond usually our job description because we try to be blending in. So it's also a problem when you are too kind and too nice, and people will take advantage of you. So that's something that you want to consider. Not all people will have the same strength as you do. If some people come here under H-1B visa and they're tolerating the exploitation, it does not mean that you're going to be able to tolerate it either.
Mm-hmm.
So something that you will have to consider about weighing in your capability to fight for yourself and to voice out what's not and to protect your license. So what might be okay for her is not okay for him, something like that. So it's something that you will really have to weigh in the pros and cons. And like I said, there's a lot of nurses or healthcare professionals that come here under H-1B, and they sign up for 1 year lease of the apartment. They sign for 5 year car. They bought 5 year a car for 5 years payment, and then all of a sudden, the employer said, "Oh, we don't have job for you anymore."
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're with staffing companies, it might, there's no guarantee that you will have job. And most majority of the staffing companies actually have, what do you call this one? Well, majority of the staffing company, first, I don't think they're gonna pass as an H-1B. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
They're not
Right,
research
right.
organization. But there are actually, right now, there's an alarming number of staffing companies that are, they're actually saying that they're under organization, specific organization. So they're going around the loopholes, and they might present to you as a non-profit organization. So you have to be careful with that. It's very important to do your due diligence and research on this, because peace of mind that you will have job the next day is one of the challenges here. So that's
Right.
for the H-1B visa.
May I add something for the H visa?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Yes. H visa is like what Kay said already. It's a temporary visa. It's a non-immigrant visa. You do not come in as an immigrant. Once you're in the States, you still have to file for an EB visa, employment based, or if it's a family based, to convert that to an immigrant visa. So for the entire time that you have the visa, you are a non-immigrant, which means if the visa for whatever reason expires or is terminated or is denied, your status in the US is considered what you call that, out of status, which means
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a legal status, you don't have legal standing for your stay, you need to leave. The problem with H visa is what Kay is saying. Is it good? Yes. Is it faster? Yes, if it is cap exempt, because there's two types. The cap is only 60,000 per year. It's much less than the 500,000 immigrant visas that they're distributing across different visa types that we're going to talk about today. But and like Kay said, it's mostly tech companies that are getting that. But the H-1B non-cap are for rural communities, communities that have dire need for nurses. They were approved by the federal government to outsource nurses. The problem with that is if you come over here, it's faster. Yes, you can bring your family. Yes. And you can start working as a nurse in the US. Yes, you're going to start earning the US money. Yes. But if you come over here and your employer does not file your immigrant visa and they terminate your employment, your work visa is tied up to the employer. That tie would suddenly be severed, and you don't have an existing visa at that point. You will be given 30 days to sort out everything and leave the US. Otherwise, you have to find an employer. It's already hard to find a non cap or exempt H-1 visa provider. It's already hard to prove to the government that they're actually non cap, right? And they're exempt.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have the paperwork to do that. And now you're going to have to find one within 30 days to facilitate that process, educate your stay. It's a whole immigration process. I'm not an immigrant lawyer, but you can already tell how complicated it is. So be vigilant, do your due diligence, talk to an immigration lawyer if H visa is really appropriate for you. There's no one size fits all. And also, like me, Kay, Anna, we're big into investing as well. We're not advertising
Mm-hmm.
our services for that. Not yet, maybe in the future. But the point is, what I always say in my investment group, I haven't been active recently because I was so focused with the business, is there should be an exit strategy. When you come into something, when you invest into something, do you have a plan to exit? Risk loss strategy where should I just cut my losses and leave, or should I stay and look for something? You have to find a way up. You have to find out what your exit strategy is. If things go south, things don't go your way, do you have a plan to leave? Do you have extra money to book a flight to the Philippines, to pack your bags and leave? Or do you have extra money to look for another employer in another state, to fly to another state? Those are the things that you need to be considering once you are here in the US under an H visa. And I already told this to many nurses that have asked me, and some providers or agencies that are offering H visa. My first question to them, if they try to like tell me, hey, do you want to offer this to your nurses? My question is, do you file an employment visa for them? And they say 90 days. And I say, can I see that in their contracts? Because I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, I'm referring nurses to agencies that I can attest to, I can veto. I don't refer nurses to agencies that I know will have a problem down the line, because that's not me. I advocate for nurses, right? So if it's not in your contract, everything that you guys talked about verbally is not legally binding. It does not hold water. It's chismis in Filipino, chisme in Espanol. It's gossip. It's a rumor in American. But the point is, ask when are you going to be filed for an immigrant visa, and that should be in your contract. If it's not there, you cannot hold them accountable, and they can say, no, we didn't tell you that, right? So be
Mm-hmm.
very careful with transacting for H visa. I know a lot of people want to go to the US the fastest way, but we don't want to go to the US the fastest way. We want to go to the US the surest way, the most legal way, and the best way to be here without mishaps. Like Kay said, it's so hard to come in here and then pack your bags again. I've known nurses over the years that I'm here, 7 years, that had their H-1B visa expired, had to come back to the Philippines, had to wait in line again to get their immigrant visa. Some of them on overstay status, eventually, well, they found I'm going to talk about the fiance conditional relative visa later. They finally found there's someone that petitioned, but it's a lot of, in short, it was very stressful for them. They're now legally staying here, but it's very stressful for them to be here and then be told, you know what, you have to go back because you cannot stay here anymore. You're out of status. You're illegal. Something like that. That's a terrible feeling, I think. So that's the beauty with immigrant visa, because you come in here with an assurance that whatever happens, if this hospital fires me, I'm gonna drive down the road or to another state 3 hours away and get to another hospital that will hire
Yeah.
me for the same position. Because you're an immigrant visa, you have mobility around the US. You can even go to Hawaii or Saipan or 50 states with thousands and thousands of hospitals. That's the difference between immigrant visa and non-immigrant visa, like work visa.
So I want to add something in there with the H1B. If people are asking how much is, how many visas are really being, given to H1B, just H1B particular, not the cap, the one that is cap. According here in the research, it says only 5% went to healthcare professionals and medicine. So it's you're talking about 5%. You're gonna still divide it among doctors and nurses,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Right,
And
right, right.
so
You gotta
how much is
compare.
that? There are like so many. They said for in 2018, there were like around 200,000 application, 200,000.
For very
So
limited spot.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Wow.
but the cap exempt. how many are going there? You're talking about cap exempt. You're gonna distribute again around 90,000. But that was 2018. But 2020, 21, 22, there's a huge, massive need of nurses in the United States and healthcare professionals. So if you are one of those, I think there was a number that I saw somewhere, but there was like 300,000 visa applications poured in from those pandemic times. So what are the chances that you are going to be approved there? It's we don't know yet. Depends if they're gonna pass those criteria. So always number one, always when you approach with this H-1B visas or temporary visa, number one you have to know is who is the employer. Who?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's because we have here H-1B visas that were promised of conversion. Though some were converted, like Paul said, there were also ones that was not able to convert,
Right,
that
right.
went out of status. I'm not saying
Yeah.
there's a lot, but it happens.
Yep.
It's like saying in the operating room, malignant hyperthermia rarely occurs in the
But it
operating room,
happens.
But
but
it
it
does.
does not
It
mean
still
that you
does.
don't
Yeah.
have to know. When crisis happens, you have to know what you should be doing,
Right.
and you should be knowing your options, because majority of the time when you fall onto those bad employers, they will take advantage of those crisis situation to manipulate you.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I'm not scaring you, this really happens. um
We're sharing this because it's
yeah.
actually happened. We cannot disclose information from our
Mm-hmm.
friends or stuff like that without their consent, but we can at least give you an overview that we know people. I know
I
like
know someone
people,
who.
Yeah.
yeah, that probably could share the experience if they want to, but
Same.
that these are true stories. We're not scary. We've
Mm-hmm.
been admins of LaForens for years. People that are approaching us behind the scenes, messaging us. Some of them are my friends now because I advocated for them or something. Kay and Anna, we have good relationships with nurses from the immigrant community, and we're sharing you these stories because these are real stories. We just can't divulge them because we did not have a consent from them, but
Mm-hmm.
we can give you an overview that these are real stories from real people, and this is not a scare tactic. No, nobody's paying us to say scare these nurses to this. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
We're advocating for you guys. We just want you guys to be safe once you're here, because support means everything. If they take out that support from you and you get manipulated to do things that they want you to do, you're going to be in the tight spot. That's where human trafficking actually happens, because nurses are getting manipulated into forced servitude, forced labor, inhumane conditions, and so many other things, right? We're not even lawyers. Imagine if the lawyers are talking about these things. It sounds so complicated because it is
Exactly.
complicated.
Yep. And if you identify yourself, I hope not. The first thing you do is really reach out to an immigration lawyer.
Right
If you
away.
right away, we're not talking about the immigration lawyer of the employer. You will have
No.
to find an immigration lawyer that is separate from that
that will
company. Yep,
that will protect
outside.
you, your
Yes.
best
Not
interest,
the
not the
company.
company's interest.
Not the company.
Companies would say, "Don't worry about it. We'll give to you our lawyer."
We got you.
Please don't
Yeah,
do that.
it is very important to hire someone. You might have to pay them, thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, but you want to have a lawyer that will act on your best interest, that will give you advice that will benefit you. Because majority, I'm not saying that employer lawyers are biased, but you will have to understand that employer lawyers are being paid by the employers.
The lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
you're right.
Of course, they will say they have to say truthful things, but not necessarily volunteering you information that will actually benefit you the most.
You're
I'm
right.
not
Yeah,
saying that they're lying. I'm not saying that, they have to, they swore by ethics to say the right thing, the truthful, like nurses and doctors. No, but there
right.
might be information that might be withheld because their best interest is the employers. Okay.
And
um
their main concern, Kay, is cost. Like, I don't want to pay
yeah.
for a lawyer, but guys, it's like an investment. Like, if you don't do that, you're increasing your risk. Plus, approach like non-governmental organizations, probably ACLU in in your county, or state attorneys that is provided by the county or the city or the state. There are many resources. This is United States after all, so don't be afraid to reach out, and probably we can give you resources in the future of where to look for lawyers that can be serving you pro bono. But don't be afraid of that. It's a scare tactic to make you feel like, oh, it's okay, you can't sue us because you don't have money. That's how
Mm-hmm.
they manipulate immigrants. For real.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen a lot, but we want you guys to be aware of the signs and symptoms.
We're not
And you
being
should be
negative.
yeah, you should be able to identify those red flags. If this is happening to you, always remember, hey, I think they talk about this in the fora, and this
Right,
might actually be happening to me. If you have questions, if you are in a situation that is questionable, feel free to reach to us, because we can definitely refer you to lawyers who can help you, that will act on your best interest.
right,
I'm not saying they're free, but there might be cases that are
Mm-hmm.
free, pro
right,
bono, and there might be cases that you will have to pay. I personally think that professional immigration lawyers, all these people, professionals, are investment,
right,
because
right. Risk.
if
That's your
it
risk
can give
protection.
me the value, the things that I value, like my peace of mind, I think I would pay for that.
Right.
It
And
might be cost, yeah.
consulting a lawyer does not really cost that much, nurses. Like it's $100 to $200. Don't convert it to your local currency. Your $100 to $200, you can earn that in one shift. Now somebody would say it's a whole shift that I would give away, but it's a whole shift of money equivalent to a consult to a lawyer that can give you an overview and protect
And
your
peace of
rights as
mind.
well. So yeah, so I would honestly pay the $200 if that will give me peace of mind. You're right, and
Mhm.
also legal standing of where I'm at with my relationship to my employer. I'm honestly blessed, I would say, because my recruiter, and I'm not advertising them, but the hospital that took me in, they've all been incredible employers to me. I finished my contract without mishap. I've finished my contract, and they wanted me to stay further, but I guess I was just one of those lucky people. But it's not always the story. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always um, nice story where oh, I come here to the United States and I'm sending you all these pictures. There are nurses hiding in the shadows,
Suffering.
telling us their stories, suffering because they could not get help. And it's a terrible feeling to be advocating for nurses, and then you hear these stories. Some stories you can't sleep at night because you can't stop thinking about them. What are they doing? How are they doing? If I could help, I would, but we're limited to what we can do as well because we're not lawyers.
Yeah, we can do referrals, that's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's one story that I want to share to everyone. They went under working visa when they arrived here, and then they were not converted. They said the employer was telling them that they were converting them. After 90 days, they've been converting to EB visa. But when I asked, is it in your contract? And he said, no, it's not reading on my contract. I said, that's the one thing you want to know, that is in your
Mm-hmm.
Right,
contract, that they promise you they're gonna convert you to EB3 visa, or permanent visa. So what happened was the 3 year already passed, and
oh my god.
it's still not
Oh
converted.
no.
And he said to me, "Okay, my contract is only 3 years.
Yes.
I
And
want
the
to stay
visa is
longer."
only for 3 years.
Yeah, and the visa is for 3 years, and I cannot leave, and I'm out of status right now, and I've been following them up. Fast forward, they didn't realize that the employer did not file the visa at all.
Oh no.
Oh
So
no. Nurses,
so
please
because
be
yeah,
proactive too. Like be
mhm,
proactive. It's all about you and your
yeah,
life. So be proactive.
Family.
Don't
yeah,
yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there was it was actually, it went actually on a case in a on a lawsuit for that.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
would
want to subject
yeah.
yourself with those. If you can
It's
prevent, prevent
exactly.
it. You have to make
And
sure things are in the paper. written.
Yeah, it's like nursing, right? Diseases. We prevent it before it becomes a cancer. So let's not be reactive, is what we call, is what we say in the ER. Let's not do reactive management. Let's be proactive, which means before it sets in, we're already doing something about it. We're
Mhm.
one step ahead, something like that. But that be proactive about your own state. Like, how far are you? Um, well informed as far as your financial state, as far as your own health, your own mental health, your familial relationships, and economy, and also your job, because your job is what feeds you, your family. You lose this, it can be life changing thing, especially if your whole premise of your economy, of your money for your family and for yourself, is tied up to your coming to the US. If that's taken away, what happens? You got to be proactive about yourself, especially if you're on a work visa. And we could not emphasize it any further. We appreciate employers that hire our immigrants on H visas, giving them a
Mm-hmm.
faster way to come over here. But we say slowly but surely. It doesn't matter if
Yep.
it's slow, you're going to get there. Now, if you do
Slow
it
and
faster,
steady.
slow and
Yeah.
steady, right? Slow and steady always wins, is what they say here. But it doesn't matter if I mean, there are lucky people that got here very very quickly, and then their employers are really really good employers to them, and they got their employment visas. But for those nurses that have been affected by the opposite experience, we don't want you guys to be there. So that's the thing. I was one of the leadership conferences back when I was still young, and I had so much time to attend leadership conferences. But they said the difference between a smart person and a fool is a fool keep repeating mistakes of himself and other people. A smart person looks at other people's mistakes and then corrects it before he makes that mistake. Because why does he have to do it? The other person already like failed from that process, so I'm not gonna do it, something like that. So be a smart person.
So, Paul and Clay, I just want to read this one question from Antoinette
Yes.
Canales. If the spouse can work with H-1B visa, what about the children? Are they getting the benefits like an EB3 visa? Or, Clay, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so the spouse can work provided that they also look for an employer who will give them temporary
Yep.
work. I know someone who,
Yep.
yeah, you need to get an immigration lawyer when you guys get here, and the spouse wants to work because the spouse comes under dependent, immediate family dependent.
Right.
So the spouse will need to look for an employer who will also sponsor him the temporary
Yes.
work permit. That's very important. um a lot of people do that actually, because
Right.
it's very expensive in the United States, and if there's only one working person, it's kind of tricky, especially on high cost of living. So I do recommend, researching before you come to the United States, researching also the job opportunities for your spouse if you can. All right.
So
Right.
my take in H-1B visa, I don't know, maybe people will not like what will I say, but for me, it's a waste of time. I mean, you're a nurse. You have a big opportunity to apply for EB3. So why not take the opportunity wherein you can be an immigrant and have the same benefits and rights as a US citizen? So for me, I'm a risk taker, but with the visa, I'm not gonna play with it. I'm not
Right.
gonna take that risk because I
Right. Yep.
am more into slow and steady. And I have a friend who has a very bad, unfortunate experience with work visa. She was never converted. She missed a lot of things in her life, and she told me if I will ever get back again, I'm gonna wait. I don't care if I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a victim of retrogression, but I'm gonna wait. So I hope nurses will learn from us, from other people's history. Do not wait for it to happen for you to learn. You can learn from others' mistakes. As I said earlier, there's no shortcut in success. It
Yep.
will require a little way, more preparation. But hey, you're gonna be an immigrant, and after 5 years, you're gonna be a U.S. citizen. which is you cannot really do that when you have a
Right.
H-1B visa, correct? So I
Yeah.
wish nurses please do not waste
Right.
your time.
I'll just add one more thing. I like negotiating because I know what I can bring to the table. I always, when I get to interview with my jobs, I always put my skills and experience and what I can bring to the
Mm-hmm.
table first because I want them to see my value first, and
Mm-hmm.
then they offer me something, I offer back because I'll tell them, I've already told you what I can bring to the table, and I'm a hard
Mm-hmm.
worker, something like that. If somebody's gonna offer me an H visa coming from a nurse who've already heard so many nurses going through difficulties about this is what I'm gonna say. Why don't you file me for EB3 visa first?
Yeah.
Expedite my process or premium process. Once we get the priority date, file me an H1B visa, then I'll work for you. I'm gonna
That's a
say
very
yes right
smart
away.
thing, yeah.
No, for real. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna say yes right away. Actually, Emily, one of our we were thinking the same thing because I actually said that to one of the nurses. But I think one of our viewers in YouTube, Emily, said the same thing that you can do concurrently. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if you have five different visa from five different categories being filed. Those are five different things. It is legal. It is okay for the U.S. for you to have different visa filings for different category. You want all the visas that we're going to talk about today? If you're that competitive, sure, you want to have all these letters of visas. But yes, you can concurrently file H and E visas, E and F visas, H and F visas. So do that. That's what I'm going to tell the employers. File, you want me, right? And honestly, I'm going to tell the employer, you want me to stay in your company, not only for 3 years. So if you do that, I'll stay with you for 5 years if you want, as long as the pay is commensurate, of course. But something like that, I'll counter offer. It doesn't
Wow.
have to always be about their offer, guys. Remember, there is a dire shortage of
Mm-hmm.
nurses around the world. It is time, and this is one of my advocacies for nurses to actually take control of, not take control of the healthcare, but of their own career journey. All right, let's not let people dictate how we can negotiate our contracts, what
Mm-hmm.
pay we want. We need to know how much we should be paid, right? We need to know
Mm-hmm.
how much we should be offered. We should not be put in a situation where we're already working hard for the community, we're already mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, psychosocially exhausted, and then we're in contracts that are one-sided, favoring the employer, and there's not much favor in the nurse's side,
As
other
a
than
nurse. Mm-hmm.
it's okay, you're gonna get to the US to fulfill your American dream. uh, that's sounding like a human trafficking thing for me, so honestly.
Well,
And
actually, if you're
guys,
if you
we
since you mentioned
it's a,
that, there is actually a research that H1 visas are the top victims for human trafficking.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
and it's not
yeah,
we're creating this. If you just guys look it up, do your own research. Um, Unfortunately, H1 visas are where a lot of human or labor, forced labor. This is called forced labor, is
right, right,
happening because these people are very scared that if they don't follow, they're gonna be fired, terminated, and termination comes, you're going back to your country.
Oh.
So
right,
it's sometimes used to coerce people to do things that is against their morals and ethical, professional responsibilities. So if that's why researching your employer is the number one priority here.
right.
You have to be
And in the
sure
eight,
you're a good
yeah,
employer.
in the age of Facebook reviews and Google reviews and Trustpilot reviews, I
Yep.
honestly look up what type of culture my facility is by reading reviews first. It might be biased, of course, but it still gives you an overview of what type
Yep.
of people and company you're gonna be working for. Are they who are what they're saying? Or is the vision and mission of their company really reflecting to their Facebook reviews,
Vision
something
and
like
mission.
that?
What is that? I feel like whenever I go to my
Philosophy.
husband and look at vision, mission, I'm like, I, I don't understand this. But anyway,
Right.
it is very important to understand the culture. If you
Yeah.
Right.
if you cannot the culture, I would think twice. I wouldn't think twice. But anyway, before we move forward, let's go over some questions. Emily Marshall,
Right,
I
right,
appreciate all your input in the comment, just FYI. I see that your
Yeah,
comments.
very
right.
active.
I
Hi,
know, and she
Emily.
she seems she seems very knowledgeable. Have we known
Yeah,
Emily before, or do you
yeah,
guys know Emily?
No, let's invite her.
She seems very knowledgeable. Yeah, send me an email, Emily. Info at DrNursePaul.com. Would like to
Tinder
talk to you.
at nurse.paul.com.
Yeah,
All right. So, questions. Where did we stop, Anna, on those questions? Let's see. Can you resume the questions?
there's a bunch of questions up
Now here
there.
we have another question. Is there any limit or H1 visa or EB visa? Limit
Yeah.
in
So
terms
yeah,
of,
I
I
think the
think,
cap, right? The
I
cap.
believe, so, yeah.
Cap
Yeah.
is
So the
65,000 a year. Right,
yeah, 65,000 a year for yeah, for the non-masters, and then when you're on advanced education, that's additional 20,000. So that makes a
right.
total of 85,000 a year, fiscal year in H1. And the EB3, again, there's also cap, depends on the country.
Right. Yep.
For
According to my research, 40,000
yeah,
yearly
40,
numerical
100.
limit. Yeah.
yes,
There's always a cap,
140,000.
there's always a limit in EB3. That's why retrogression happens.
All of them
yeah,
have limits. Yep, yep, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. Right, right, right. And Emily said, actually, look, Emily said that this year alone in fiscal year, they usually start the H visas on April 1. And I've always tracked this before because I thought I was going to go through H visa as well. Um, they start April 1 and they usually stop right away on the second or third day because it gets filled out. There were 800,000 applicants this year alone for
Wow.
65,000 spots. So you calculate the percentage of your odds, and may the odds be ever in your favor, as they say in Hunger Games. But yeah, that's
I read those books and watched those movies.
Oh, me too. I finished it. I finished those books in 3 days. I don't think
yeah.
Kate knows what we're talking
No,
about.
no, I don't. I don't take social pressures.
Hey, that
You
was
have to
5 years
read the
ago. I
book.
was single.
Yeah.
I just go in the investment book. Let's just make money. That's it. All right. Where's the next question? Did we go through everything? Sorry, I missed some of the questions.
I think that's
Yeah,
it.
there's not a lot. Yeah, the others
Yeah.
are side comments, which are really, really good comments, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have Kamar. He said he's a nursing mentor in Pakistan. Hello,
Hi,
Kamar. I think
Kamar.
is watching in my LinkedIn or something. Jimel said that's true. Dr. Paul, some agencies offering H-1B visa told us we can convert it in 90 days. So guys, put it on your contract. Emily said in one of the comments, don't accept any H-1B visa before you get an approved I-140. Yes, that's also what I thought. That's what I'm going to bring to the negotiation table. TN visa. Let's talk about TN visa in a little bit. I think Kay still
Hey,
has to
next
talk about
family
something.
visa.
Oh,
Right,
TNP
we're,
for me.
we're
Oh
we're
my God,
13 minutes over time. Yeah,
I know
yeah.
we're over
I
time,
can
so I'm
talk
just
about TN
gonna go
visa in a
for.
bit.
Oh yeah, TN visa. So which one are we gonna do? TN visa first, Paul.
Yeah.
I think you have one
TN
more
visa.
visa, family visa.
Oh,
Yeah.
family visa for me is there's two different family visa. It's gonna be your immediate immediate
Right.
family. So we're talking about your husband, your daughter, your son, your parents, your brother. That's your immediate family. I'm sorry. So yeah, so not sorry, not your aunts like that. Okay, not your aunts, not your
Not your
cousin.
grandpa.
Yeah. So immediate visa counts your children and your
Extended
parents.
family.
Yeah. So now you get your non-immediate family. So those are family preference like your cousins, your uncles, you know uh,
Brother, sister.
yeah, far distant relative. In the Philippines, we call it the second degree, third degree relatives. Okay, so
Fourth, fifth.
yeah, fourth, fifth,
Kamag-anak,
everybody, right?
kamag-anak.
So there is also a limit on these visas, and actually, this is our actually retrogress move further out. So if you have
Right, right.
employment-based visa, you're permanent. You're talking about a 2-year time frame retrogression, and then you have your temporary visa, which is about 6 months. So family preference visas. are often the longest wait. Your extended families. But for immediate relative, majority of the time, you can be petitioned. Your family can be petitioned to come with you. With coming to the United States if you have green card. One of the
But you,
most
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
Usually, family-based visa is for permanent residents. Because for if
Mm-hmm.
for their
Green
citizen if they're
card.
citizens, I'm gonna talk about it later. Yep. So if you are a green card holder and you want to petition your family members, that's family-based visa. If you are a U.S. citizen and you want to
Mm-hmm.
petition your immediate family members, that's what I'm gonna talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have a story here one time because my husband came here under J1 visa and then converted to working visa, which is the H visa. And
Mm-hmm.
then I met him. During that time we were dating and we got married. During those times he used lawyers, immigration lawyers, to make sure that his visa or his status in the United States is good. When he met me, of course.
Not ENC visa, okay?
Oh no, not fiance visa. He doesn't need that because he had working visa. He had working permit.
That's true.
But when
That's
we
true.
got married, I told him we can convert your H visa into a green card. So I'm going to sponsor you. And said, nah, I'm gonna call my lawyer. I was like, what are you calling your lawyer? There are forms. I am a US citizen, and that's one of my right as a
Yeah.
citizen able to sponsor. you know
Right.
and what we did is we went online. These things you can DIY if you understand what you're doing. Family
Right.
visa, so I was able to convert him. So that's my benefit as a citizen, to
Right.
sponsor my spouse to be converted into a green card from H1 visa. So again, there's a lot of visas that you can do sponsoring. There are easy ones like I did mine. My mom came as a tourist, and since I was a citizen, I was able to convert her visa into green card as well because I was able to do that as a citizen. Okay, but if you're not citizen, you don't have that privilege to petition people or sponsor people. As an immigrant, you can petition them. You cannot petition them, so they have to come in here under specific visas, and this is something that you want to discuss with your immigration lawyers. What are
Right.
the
Right.
options in there because there are age limits as well, so you will have to sit
Right.
down with an immigration lawyer and go over your personal situation with them. Okay.
Right. And there's different categories too. So you check the categories in uscis.gov. I think you have a question from Solis.
Solis, if I'm the main applicant for EB3 visa and I'm going to take my husband and kids with me, their visa will fall on EB3 or in family visa. So if you are going to take your kids with you, your family, and you were petitioned by your employer can also sponsor them. Okay.
For
With green card.
employment underemployment as dependent.
EB3.
Not
Yes,
not yeah.
under
They don't have
EB3
yeah.
visa, not in family visa. They're gonna be falling under the same application for EB3
As
visa.
yours. Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
are the benefits of
Of EB3.
finding an employer that is good who will also sponsor you. Now they're very, very good if they will also pay for them.
I
Right,
Right?
know,
right.
yeah.
Uh,
Because that's one thing you will have to ask. A lot of nurses come to
they
me,
won't.
Kay,
Yeah.
I did not know that the employer I picked, I will have to pay for all those visa petitions and I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have money.
Majority of them do not. Yeah.
Majority of them do not. There are also employers who will. The number one question that you will ask, if they will not sponsor your family also, you're gonna ask them, if I will pay for my lawyer for my family's immigration sponsorship, how much will I have to pay? Because sometimes the employer wants you to use a specific
Lawyer.
immigration lawyer that they use. But is it mandatory? So this is where the trick comes really. It's not mandatory to use them either. It's not. And you can actually ask them first how much it will cost if I will use them. If you will use them, whoever the employer is using, that would be great. It makes your life easy. But if the employment immigration lawyer is charging you $5,000 per person, or $10,000 per person, you might
Yes.
want to consider, if it's outside your budget, you might want to consider checking under immigration lawyer who can do the same, who can help. And of
Yeah.
course, you will have to coordinate that with your employer. You
Yeah.
will have to tell your employer the immigration lawyer that you are using, that will be it's very expensive, I cannot afford it. So you will have to just communicate. You
Yeah.
be very professional to communicate your concerns, why you're not using the immigration lawyer that they are actually referring you to. It's very professional, and it's very understandable also that some lawyers might be very expensive, and it's something that the employer might want to consider, talking with the immigration lawyer or doing some deal on your behalf. So always voice out your concern, and the concern of not having enough funds to pay for those expensive lawyers is a valid reason, but it's best to communicate that with your employer as a out of respect. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
let me share my experience. When I came here 8 years ago, I have my husband and my daughter. My agency paid for the sponsorship. I only paid for the airfare. So I must say I was blessed to have them, although the air was not great, but and I started in a nursing home too. So like what Kay and all said, one of the best benefit being an immigrant visa or EB3 is to bring your family. I mean, like I always tell nurses, the reason why you want to go to America not just to work, but to bring your family, to be with them. And I find it hard to work here by myself without my daughter, without my husband. So I'm encouraging them, whoever send me a message about family being to the US, always go or EB3. And I just want to share this, mom, I'm a nurse. My husband is also a nurse. So we apply in a different agency. And I always tell them, no, only one who sign up or an agency, not both of you. Remember, nurses, if you are married, only one, not both of you. Because if you're gonna sign up both of you will be in a contract, and both of you will be committed and tied for 3 years. Since if one of you will sign, you can bring your spouse with you, and if you have a crew, you can also bring. That's it. Are we ready for a fam visa? I'm sorry, fiance visa, Paul.
I know we have international watchers. They don't know the word of them. But but
You will
but
explain that, Paul.
this will be very quick. K visas or fiance visas are temporary visas. You can get this if you have a U.S. citizen sponsor, which hopefully will be your real spouse. Um,
You
and not
should be.
and
You
not
can be
fixed marriage.
deported for fraud if
Yeah,
you.
not fixed marriage because you can be deported. So if you have, for example, a boyfriend or girlfriend which is a U.S. citizen, and you're not from the U.S., they can file you for a K or fiance visa with an agreement that you will be married in the U.S. within 90 days. The purpose of fiance visa is to get you here so you can get married. Once you get married, you will file for conditional resident visa after that, which is a green card. So again, K visa is a temporary visa. Can nurses use this? Yes, if you have a spouse, no, not
A
spouse. I'm sorry,
fiance, yeah.
boyfriend, fiance, or girlfriend that is a U.S. citizen. But you have to get married within 90 days. What happens if you don't get married within 90 days? Well, watch the 90-day fiance streaming on Hulu. I'm just
I watched
kidding.
that show. I
Of course
enjoy it.
you do. It's of course Kate doesn't know what we're talking about again.
Of course.
Hey, I changed my husband's status. We did and he was his visa actually was
Well,
conditional. Yeah, he
yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had to go. We have to be interviewed after
Right,
when we were applying for my husband's visa.
right.
Yeah, it's conditional. It's 2 years, and
Yep.
after two
CR
years,
visa. Yep.
they actually did contact me and my husband to provide evidences to remove his
That you're still
conditional.
together.
Yeah,
Right.
so you will have to remove that condition. So we're still together, for how many
Yeah.
years now. We're celebrating
Woohoo!
actually our 10th year anniversary next year.
Yay, he
10-year
tolerated
anniversary.
play.
Yeah, so it's
No.
it's something that it's conditional. Don't
Right.
be excited. Then you get here, you get your visa, and you
Right.
screw up yourself.
Right.
Lying on the immigration is a immigration
Like,
fraud.
yeah.
It's a heavy thing. You
Yeah,
don't
you,
want to
you
deal with
will
that.
be under oath during any consular interview, whether you're doing tourist visa, non-immigrant visa, or immigrant visa. These are recorded and becomes permanent file. So if 20 years later they thought that you had a fraud, they will go back. These are permanent files. So guys, these are permanent files. Like it will be attached to your case for the rest of your life and your existence in the US. So please do not do illegal stuff because they can get you deported and banned.
Yeah, it's not
And
worth it.
unfortunately, it's not worth it, honestly. Anyway, so going back, fiance visa, you got to get married within 90 days. If you don't get married, you go back to your country, the visa is canceled. If you get married, then you file for an immigrant visa called
Mm-hmm.
CR, conditional resident visa. Conditional resident visa is an American citizen filing for a spouse. Um, a spouse, it said in the condition, a
Spouse,
spouse, not
a
the
spouse, not
spouses,
spouses.
or a spouse or the spouses. a, a spouse, so just one. All right, and if you're married within 2 years, you do CR visa or conditional resident visa. After 2 years, they will investigate: are you still married? Are you still together? Is the condition met? Which means you have to be married. You have to be fully wed for 2 years. Thankfully, they're not checking for consummation of marriage, but maybe soon. I don't think the
TMI.
people got
TMI
that.
Sunday in the morning,
Let's
Paul?
not give more. Let's not give more specific stuff for USCIS to pick on, and they're like, "Oh, good idea. Let's check that too." But no. But the point is, within 2 years, you get your CR visa. After 2 years, you can convert it to a regular non-conditional immigrant visa with the pathway to citizenship, of course, after 3 or 5 years. And then the next visa I'm going to talk about is IR. IR is immediate relative. This is for relatives, for spouse, for example, that you've married for more than 2 years and you're a US citizen. This is only for US citizens. So US citizens, you have a spouse you've married for more than 2 years outside the US, non-US citizen, you can file for their immigrant visa. It's called IR visa. That's the next topic. Immediate relative. With immediate relative visa, you can also petition your kids under 21 years old and your parents. So somebody are asking, can I petition my parent? Not on a permanent resident status. You can only petition your parents if you are a US citizen, and that's the immediate relative visa, IR visa. I think our banner was not changed, but it's IR visa, immediate relative. That's again for relatives of US citizens, spouse, children they're 21 years old, and their parents. Some of the visas that are not part of our topic today, but I'm going to go through really quickly. TN visa, somebody has been asking 3 times already. This is for Mexicans and Canadians, and it's under NAFTA agreement. Basically, think of H-1B visa, but for Mexicans and Canadians. There is no limit. You just show up to the border, show your employer's job offer, and show your Canadian passport. You have to be a Canadian or a Mexican, and then they give you TN visa, and you can keep on renewing that. It's every 3 years. There's no limit because it's an agreement between US and Canada and Mexico. That's TN visa. That's also non-immigrant, which means it's a temporary work visa. You still have to convert it to immigrant if you want to be an immigrant to the US. And the last one is J visa. I think Kay mentioned about it. J visa is student visa.
Mm-hmm.
You can only work 20 hours while in student visa. More than 20 hours, the USCIS and IRS are paying attention. Guys, the feds here can monitor all your status and all your earnings, so please don't do that. Um, but you can only work 20 hours a week legally. The rest of the time you should be studying. So some nurses go through this and then eventually find an employer to get them the immigrant visa or the work visa. And last but not the least, somebody are asking, what about tourist visa, B1, B2? All right, guys, tourist visa is for touring. That's very specifically stated in USCIS website. The purpose of your B1 visa should be for tour. You cannot apply for a job, seek an employer, change status within 90 days on B visa, because you get the risk of the consul telling you you're denied because your main intent while touring is not actually to tour. Your main intent is actually to find a job. So you have to prove that. And also, even though you have a tourist visa, you can come into the US. Remember that you still get checked at the immigration. You still have to prove that you actually are touring, which means they can ask for your hotels. Where are you gonna stay? How much money do you have? What are you gonna do in the US? What states are you visiting? You cannot say, "Oh, I'm here to take my NCLEX because my employer is gonna file my petition the next day after I pass the NCLEX." I've
Oh no.
had one friend that had this unfortunate experience and got A to A, airport to airport, 10-year ban.
Oh god.
So please don't do that. All right. So that's it, guys. That's a summary of what I want to share. We went over time. I'm so sorry. It's 30
I
minutes
know
over
this is the
time.
longest time. But I
Right,
know
right.
everyone's very happy about this topic. This is the most question asked, frequently asked question in the fora, private messages. I hope that we shed a lot of light about
Anna,
this
sorry.
information.
Sorry. I think I said it wrong. Not J1. J visa is for medical students and residents. I think I'm talking about F1 visas, student visas that can only work 20 hours. The J visas are the ones that students use, right? Medical students use. But F1 visa, if you're a student coming in here, you can only work 20 hours per week. Per week. Thank you, Emily, for correcting that. And I picked up J because Kay mentioned J earlier, but I was referring to F1 student visa. So there's a lot of visas, guys. It's from A to
A
Z.
lot of letters, a lot of numbers to
I
remember.
know, so it's really it's really best,
Complicated.
yeah, very complicated. Visa immigration is like your medicine, it's not a one size fits all. So
Right.
it's best to really have an immigration lawyer sit down and go over your entire situation, your entire goals. You have to know their goals, your skills, your capabilities, your credentials, and they will actually give you what's the best option you have. We're giving you here information that are most commonly discussed in the
Right.
fora. We're not here to discuss all the immigration options that you have, but these are
Right.
the most common things that are being discussed and asked to us in Lefora in the social media. So again, it's like a medicine. It's not a one size fits all. Okay,
Right. That's
so
why you have to seek advice from a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my husband was yeah, J1 visa initially when he came here,
Yep.
converted to H1
Yep.
and then converted to EB3 visa, the
I
green
think
card. So
J1 JV says they can work full time, yeah, because
yeah, full
most
time.
medical residents are from other countries are J visa. But oh my God,
I
one
know,
hour
right?
30
We're gonna
minutes is not enough. It's a lot of
yeah,
visas.
I know, right? So I know there's so many pieces, what's the best is, you gotta sit down and the lawyer will have to assess your needs. But it's your responsibility to do your due diligence. If
Yep.
you are
Right.
paying for this lawyer, if you're paying, that lawyer that you're paying should be always acting on your best interest, okay?
Yes.
Be acting on your best interest. If you are talking with an employer immigration lawyer, that lawyer swore under ethics, and under law to tell you the truthful things about visa and immigration, not necessarily what's going to be the best for you, but it's going to be the best, of course, for the employer because they're employer immigration lawyers. But it's your due diligence to really research your options and what's best for you. But keeping your ears open is the most important thing here. Having that teachable attitude and being open minded will land you the best option for you.
Yeah. And I would like to formally announce to everyone that if you have stories to share, you can
Mm-hmm.
message Kay or Anna or me. My email is info@DrNursePaul.com. And you can send your stories, and we might be able to invite you in one of our shows. We are still scheduling our shows for the rest of the year. So the
Mm-hmm.
schedule is wide open. If you have some great stories to share, or even if it's not a positive story, but you just want to
Yeah.
put out your
Mm-hmm.
story so people can learn from it, we would like to invite you. Remember that this show, while me and Kay and Anne is piloting it, is not all about us. It's the collective experiences that we've had ourselves and from our followers in social media and from the people that we've actually talked to gotten to know, so we can share them to you. So we are opening the stage for you guys as well. We would love to feature you. We would love to talk about you, and we would love for you to talk about your experiences. And also, congratulations to Anna for closing her house. The American dream is
Hey!
real. Yay! Congratulations, Anna.
We're gonna talk about that. House buying in the U.S. is not
Yes,
for
please.
everyone.
Yeah,
Oh God, the
it's
most
not for the faint
stressful
of
thing
heart.
ever. The
Yeah,
most stressful thing ever.
it's
Oh my
Yes,
God,
actually
I
and
was having palpitations until I signed the paper and they gave me the key. It was nerve wracking.
as a traveler nurse, we're a travel couple nurse, so it's really
Right,
a hard work. But
right, right.
just like me, you can also do it. Yes, you can come here in America, fulfill your American dream by by getting this EB3 visa. Continue to watch us every Sunday. We have a lot of things to share to inform you guys. So when you come here, you have an edge over us because before we're gonna have this kind of show. I wish we had, right, Paul? It would be better, but
Right.
learn from our mistakes. So thank you, everyone.
I
Thank
have the
Next
you.
longest
show.
mistake.
What's our next show?
Next show. Wow.
This
Licensing.
Okay.
one is
There we go.
October 8th, Sunday, licensing. If you are newly graduate nurse, you pass for PRC, or you want to come here and work in the US, you need an NCLEX. NCLEX is a license, and we have each 3+8. Each one of Board of Nursing have their own requirements. So if you want to know more about it, tune in on Sunday, October 8th. We're going to talk about licensing. Those not compact state, who require being a license in the Philippines and who does not require.
CGFNS.
Yeah, CGFNS and
Credential
a lot of things.
verification. NCLEX. Oh my God. This
Yeah.
is loaded too. My goodness. I need more
Oh
coffee
my
for
God,
this show.
I think we're
licensing.
gonna need more 4 hours, miss.
Oh my God, how
Why
many
is it?
licenses you have, Paul, Anna? How many
Uh,
licenses you
I
guys
have
I
have?
can
three. I
practice
have
it.
three.
Well, my Texas is compact. On top of that, I have a Y in California, so I can practice 40 something states.
How
Yeah,
about you?
yeah.
How many licenses do you have?
So far, five state
You
licenses.
I have Vermont and New Mexico too, so 5 in nurses. But it's
But
are
I
we
don't know,
aiming for all of the states?
no,
like a
license
collection.
is investment. Yeah, you don't put it
Yeah,
there. It's
you'll
a
never
different
know.
state
Yeah,
now. But
yeah.
I know. One of my friends told me, why would you call America United States of America, but they're not united when it comes to license?
we'll get it
Welcome to the
there.
federal type of republic.
Yeah.
Yep,
All
that's
right,
how
everybody.
federal government works. All right, I think we've
Thank
been
you,
here for too long.
everyone. See you next week. Don't forget, thank you, Paul and Nurse Play, and
Thank
our girls
you.
for always following us every Sunday. Thank you. I hope you
All
learned a
right.
lot from us.
All
Bye,
right,
friends.
bye guys.